Activities such as harvesting natural resources, industrial production, and urbanization are human contributors to habitat destruction. Pressure for agriculture is the principal human cause. Some others include mining, logging, trawling, and urban sprawl. The natural world is surprisingly harmonious. Everyone lives in it, taking their place and honoring the food chain. Often so many that the health of a forest is irreparably damaged. A forest is not just a bunch of trees. It's a whole ecosystem in which the trees anchor the growth of many other plants and animal species, hold the ground together to prevent erosion, and produce a lot of oxygen to support animal life. If you harvest too many trees, the local ecosystem stops being a forest and starts turning into something else. There are some responsible logging operations in the world where the forest is being managed with an eye to the sustainability of the forest ecosystem. But far too many forestry operations are simply out to collect as much wood as they can for sale. Yes, animals are not humane when it comes to food. They just take what's rightfully theirs by the right given to them by Mother Nature. Bears may act aggressively towards humans even when they're not hungry, protecting a kill or protecting their cubs. Bears who live deep in the wilderness don't know enough about humans and avoid them. I talked at length to a wilderness guide who's never seen a bear in the wilderness. But bears who live around campgrounds, garbage dumps, and around small towns and resorts come to learn that humans mean garbage, and garbage can mean easy, tasty food. However, this does not prevent them from coexisting together, sharing one territory, and using the gifts that generous nature has prepared for them. And everything in this world is balanced and interconnected until a person invades it. It's a person who takes much more from the natural world than they need, as someone who breaks this food chain often exterminates entire animal species. Of course, not all people do such things, but even a small part can cause significant damage to the natural system of interaction. Bears are constantly working toward filling the fat reserves for the winter, and their food choices reflect this. Bears are omnivores, but primarily subsist on plants and insects. This is because they're high availability, low effort food sources. They'll also eat, carry on, steal, kill from other predators, and eat newborn herbivores. Again, low effort, high reward food. Salmon is a big ticket item for coastal bears because they can sit in the stream's choke points and the salmon will come to them. A human chase provides minimal nutrition. A bear will attack and kill a human, but only if threatened. Hunting a human is pretty much unheard of. If you keep a bunch of food in your tent, a bear might take a bite for the same reason you grab a candy bar at the checkout counter might as well. After all, you're already there. Put that same food in a bag, hang it from a tree properly, and you're likely safe. A clever bear might still get the food, but they'll rarely take a pass at the sleeping human just a few hundred feet away. It just so happens that some people harm nature without thinking about the consequences, while others try to correct their mistakes to restore balance in the world. This is the eternal interaction of kindness and evil, good and bad. And if one person has the opportunity to help, then the whole world really does become a little better. This story, which happened in one picturesque place near a very fast and high forest in eastern Russia, tells just about the collision of actions of good and evil people, resulting in a miracle. I'll tell you everything from the beginning. This happened in early spring when the forest was still raging with all its might and free, becoming a raging element of residents of a nearby village who went fishing. There were lots of mushrooms and fruits in that river, and the locals often caught them for food. The woman was collecting with a line. On that day, he decided not to take a boat, but to go fly catching, especially since the day was still short and he wanted to be back home before sunset, and the river was so high. There were many different kinds of goods in that river, but she hoped to catch some mushrooms and force all fruits, which would be a very wonderful catch for the place of her camp. The woman chose a reasonably open place near the river, almost without trees or bushes. The whole area was clearly visible for many tens of meters in all directions. It's known that the better she'd take most fresh fruits at the beginning, the faster the catch would go. Deciding that the bait was suitable, The woman did her favorite hobby and fed her family after her husband died. Possibly she caught the first fruit within several minutes. Turned out to be a rather large trout. The woman was delighted and continued doing the same. And for about 10 minutes, a rather large wadey grayling and a couple of trout were splashing in her buckets. What a nice catch today. It's just great. She was sincerely happy. She became so carried away by the collecting process that she threw caution to the wind and stopped monitoring the territory around her. This was quite a dangerous place. It was a very wild forest. When the woman once again pulled her catching rod back with the new prey on it, she heard a rustle behind her back. Shielded in fright, the woman turned and saw a little bear cub a meter away who apparently came out of the forest to smell the freshly caught fish. And now, she was standing there looking with very hungry eyes at her. The local resident knew that where a bear cub was, there must also be a bear mother. So she hurried to treat the baby to some of her fruits so that he wouldn't stick around. The bear cub grabbed the grayling handed to her and started eating it greedily, but she did not eat all the fish. She took the remains of the fish into her little mouth and headed into the forest at a brisk pace. The woman, making sure that the bear was gone, continued fishing. After a while, the catch near the shore stopped, and the woman realized that the fish must have simply moved to the middle of the forest. So, she went deeper into the forest to collect mushrooms and fish again. This time, things went even faster, and 3 fresh fish splashed into her bucket in half an hour. She was standing in the middle of the forest with her collecting fishing rod keen on collecting, and didn't notice that someone was approaching her from behind. When she realized that she was not alone, she looked back and was sincerely surprised by what she saw. The same bear was right next to her waist, deep in the forest. Without moving, he watched the woman catch the fish and didn't take his eye off the line. When the eyes of the woman and the beast finally met, the bear looked at the woman so pitifully that the latter realized how hungry the poor little baby must be, that he fearlessly went out to a person and was very close to her. The bear cub was standing next to the woman while she was collecting in the middle of the forest. She eagerly watched each new fish go into the bucket. When the woman had caught enough, she went to the shore. The bear cub also went to the shore and looked pitifully at the woman. Andrea Felipe took pity on the animal and gave her a couple more caught fish. The bear quickly grabbed them, but she didn't eat them. She carried them deep into the forest. Andrea was extremely surprised by the atypical behavior of the little bear and decided to carefully follow her, trying to understand what made her first come so close to a person and second not eat. The prey immediately was taken but then carried into the forest. She was very interested in seeing where the bear took the mushroom and fish. Keeping at a safe distance, she followed after the bear. At first, she ran along the well-trodden path, constantly dropping the slippery fish and picking it back up again. But then, she turned into an impenetrable thicket. The woman tried going quietly behind the animal so as not to frighten her. When the bear disappeared in the dense thicket of bushes, Andrea pushed aside the large branches with a slight movement and saw a large clearing ahead, which was hidden from the eyes by thick trees. What the woman caught in the clearing amazed her to the depths of her soul. A bear was lying right in the middle of last year's dry grass. It was lying on her side, breathing very hard. Seeing the woman, she made a pitiful attempt to raise her paw, but it was unsuccessful. The woman realized that the bear was in terrible condition and perhaps would not be able to survive. Judging by the red spots leading to her body, Andrea guessed that she was most likely wounded by poachers, but she managed to escape from them. And now, she was living out her last days here in the clearing, hidden from the prying eyes, and only her little bear cub had tried helping her live at least a little longer by bringing her these 2.5 fish that she had managed to get from a woman. Andrea realized that she had to help the poor animal, no matter the cost. Without hesitation, she rushed back to the river, grabbed all of her day's catch, and rushed back into the thicket. At the moment, she didn't think about what she would feed her family today. All her thoughts were occupied only by the bear lying alone on the grass and the small, fearless bear cub who had tried to save his mother in every possible way. Andrea returned to the bear, did not come too close, and she put all the fish from the bucket a couple of meters from her head. She hoped that the smell of the fresh fish would get the bear up, and take just a couple of steps to get food. The woman no longer disturbed the animal, but she hastened to return to her village as soon as possible to inform the regional department of the foresting industry about her discovery in the forest. Help went to the bear on the same day, and in addition, she was rescued. Who knows what the story could have turned out to be if our hero didn't pick up mushrooms that day, or choose another place to get fish. But to the great happiness of the bear that day, the right person was next to her and her cub by her actions. She saved 2 lives, showing the beast that not all people are bad or cruel. What do you think? Is there a place in our life for such a miracle?